Math Module 4, Lesson 13. I can multiply unit fractions by unit fractions. Make sure everything I do in the video, you do in your workbook. If you need to pause to catch up, do it. If you need to rewind and rewatch anything to be successful, good luck. Problem number 1. Jan has 4 pans of crispy rice treats. She sends half of the pans to school with her children. How many pans of crispy rice treats does Jan send to school? So let's read this question again. How many pans of rice treats does Jen send to school? Well, I have 4 pans of crispy rice, and she sends half the pans to school. So I have 1/2 of 4. Well, I know that 1/2 of 4 is actually equal to 4 over 2, because 4 times 1 is 4, 2 times 1 is 2. Well, 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. So 2 pans are sent to school with her children. Well, let's change this problem up. Let's now solve this. Instead of 4, let's say there's only 2 pans. So now I'm still solving the same question. How many pans of crispy rice treats did Jan send to school? Well, so now I know I have half of, well, how many pans did she make? 2. So 1/2 times 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 halves. Well, I know what that equals. It means 1 pan sent to school. Oh, let's change this up again. So instead of 2, let's make it 1. So now I have 1 pan of crispy rice treats. How much if she sends half of the pans to school? So I know I'm still only sending half. So half of, well, how many pans did she make? 1. I don't know about you, but 1 times 1/2 is always 1/2. So 1/2 of a pan was sent to school. Oh, we're not done yet. Oh, I know you're so excited. So, instead of 1 pan, oh, now we only have half of a pan. So, half of a pan of crispy rice treats were made. She sends half of them to school. So, I have half sent to school of, well, half of a pan. I'm going to put pans because there's too many halves there. I don't know about you. Well, 1/2 of 1/2. So let's show this one a little more. So 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. So 1/4 of a pan sent to school. Well, I want to prove this one to you in a area model since we've used those in the last module. So here's her half of a pan that she made. So 1/2. And then she only sent half to school. So I'm going to go half the other way. Well, when I look at it this way, the only area that they overlap is this like one box. So count how many boxes there are. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's only 1 shaded in. So 1/2 times 1/2 must be equal to 1/4. Make sure you showed all your work and that you crossed out the 4 and made it a 2. Then you crossed out the 2 and made it a 1. And then you crossed out the 1 and made it a half. Since we solved 4 different problems using the same question. Problem number 2. Jan has 1/3 pan of crispy rice treats. She sends half of the treats to school with her children. How many pans of crispy rice treats does Jan send to school? Well, like always, we're going to look at the question first and identify what I need to find out. So how many pans of crispy rice treats she sends to school? Gosh, that sounds so familiar. I wonder why. So now let's focus on what we know in the problem. Jan has 1/3 a pan of crispy rice treats. So that's the total she's got. She sends half of the treats to school. So sends half of the treats to school. So I know she has 1/3, which is my total. So let's model that with our area model. So 1/3. I'm labeling it 1/3. So that's kind of like my total that she's got. Then she sends half of that to school. So S could be for sends or for school. Either way you want to look at it. So here's my half that I'm sending to school. Well, I'm going to multiply my total by how much I send. So when I look at my area model, this is the only section that overlaps. So 1/2 times 1/3, or 1/3 times 1/2, is equal to 1. Well, how many squares are there? 2 rows of 3. 2 times 3 is 6. So Jan, she sends 1/6 of a pan to school. And I showed it with an equation as well as an area model. Make sure you show all your work. Problem number 3. Jan has 1/3 a pan of crispy rice treats. She sends 1/4 of the treats to school with her children. How many pans of crispy rice treats does Jan send to school? Well, let's annotate. So here's our question first. How many pans of crispy rice treats does she send to school? Gosh, that sounds so familiar. So we know Jan has 1/3 of a pan of crispy rice. So that's how much she made. She sends 1/4 of the treats to school. So how many pans does she send? So I know I have 1/3 of a pan. I'm going to model on my area model over here. So I know I need thirds. And 1/3 is how much she made. So here's my 1/3. Okay. Times how much she's sending to school, which is 1/4. Well, now let me break the other into fourths. And how much do I do? 1/4 is sent to school. 1/4. Well, what part is overlapping? It's the single box. So I know it's going to be 1 over. Well, how many boxes are there? 4 times 3 columns. 4 times 3 is 12. Well, let's look at this. 3 times 4 is 12. So I modeled it with the equation as well as the area model. So let's answer our question and answer statement. 1/12 of the pans, or of the pan, it's one pan, right? It's part of a pan, was sent to school. Make sure you showed all your work. Problem number 4. A sales lot is filled with vehicles for sale. 1/3 of the vehicles are pickup trucks. 1/3 of the trucks are white. What fraction of all the vehicles are white pickup trucks? So I need to look at my question. What fraction, I need to pay attention to that, are white pickup trucks. So I'm not figuring out how many trucks, I'm figuring out the fraction. So what do I know? I have 1/3 are pickup trucks, and 1/3 of the trucks are white. So I have my car lot. 1/3 of them are pickup trucks. So here's my 1/3 of trucks. I'm going to put a T. Well, then the other is 1/3 are white. One-third, and I'm going to put white. Well, so I have 1/3 are the trucks. I'm going to put T times 1/3 that are white. Well, the only area that overlaps is that one box. So I know it's going to be 1, and how many boxes are there? 3 rows and 3 columns, so 3 times 3 is 9. Well, 3 times 3 is 9. So let's write our answer statement. 1/9 of all, that's key, the vehicles are white pickup trucks. Make sure you showed all your work.